Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a flip through of this new book I got. If you're into watercolors, there are coloring books for watercolors. I had no idea. I've only been ordering coloring books for like 5 or 6 years, but it's okay. So I actually can't take credit for finding this. Karen Valentine had showed me this one, and then, as we enable each other in the world of coloring, I bought it. No questions asked, just bought it. But the reason she had shown me is because I'm getting back into watercolors, and I hadn't known about these. So these are pages created by Kristy Rice, and she has a few of them. So she has spring, this one's spring cutting garden, but she has winter, fall, and summer as well, which I'm sure I will purchase. I've already put them on my wish list to keep an eye out for. And these are really cool books, so I'm going to show you guys what's in them. So as you can see, the cover even has like a watercolor theme. Now when you first open it, here's what's nifty. Okay, so she has a whole forward here with some quotes and whatnot, but if you open it, the second part of the panel, it has a great little breakdown. Watercolor 101. She talks about, how you should swatch out your palette using paper towels, the types of brush strokes, and then even talks about color mixing. So if you're new to mixing watercolors, you could totally read this, and she gives you really good information on that. And then she talks about magazine matching, the fields greens, talking about how you can create different types of greens. And then she also goes into the techniques, which are really important if you're new to watercolor, because watercolor is more than just, getting a brush wet, getting some color, and throwing on paper. There's a ton of ways to apply watercolor. So she goes over all of the techniques, which you can use in the book as practice. Like she does a dry brush one, wet on dry, wet and wet, flat wash, ombre wash. I mean, she goes through all of it, right down to negative painting and bleeding. Pretty cool. The only thing I don't think she went over was salt. Yeah, she didn't really touch on the salting technique in here, but it's not a big deal. You just sprinkle some salt on some wet watercolor and it does some fun little things. But yeah, she didn't go on that. But most of the time when I do watercolor myself, I'm either doing wet on wet or wet on dry, and that's kind of how I go about it depending on the page. So once you close that, the other side has a little letter from the artist, and then when you open it, this is like a very interesting book. It just like keeps fanning out. She goes over suggested materials. So she talks about the best budget option for watercolors. Let's see, Artist Loft is what she's recommending in this. And then she also talks about a pearlescent variety and where you can get them. Basically goes over all the different kinds of things you could get. She also talks about her go-to watercolors, which are Winsor & Newton, Opera Rose, and Cobalt Turquoise Light. And then she also uses Daniel Smith's Moon Glow Buff and Cascade Green. So that's pretty cool that she gives you like some ideas if you're new to things. Okay, now that we've gone through the covers, here is the page of contents. And what's nice here is she's telling you what each flower is so that you can look it up if you want to practice realism or look up a technique. Which is always really good, especially if you're new to watercolor. So then in here, she goes over each flower that is featured on each page and painting tips. So it's really cool. She even tells you like the size of the brush. For example, the coral bells, she says to use around 1 or 2 for those. So I think it's really cool because if you're new to watercolor or trying to hone in on your skills, which all of us are, trying to perfect even what we know, she goes and like shows you different techniques. She tells you how they should be colored, what she recommends, and she even gives you like a range or her recommended colors, and then just a little background. Now all these pages are printed on very thick watercolor cardstock. So this is watercolor paper. Like this whole thing here is also printed on watercolor paper, which is nuts because she could have totally gotten away with printing this on normal paper and then, you know, gotten into the art later, but hey, whatever. You could also like practice painting these, just do your palettes on these or something just for fun. But all right, now we're to the actual pages. Again, they're all on thick cardstock. These do peel out, so if you want to pull them out, you know, do a washi tape border. I will probably peel them out myself because I like to when I'm doing watercolor, even on watercolor paper that doesn't buckle as much. I like to tape mine down to a flat surface to prevent any buckles. So here are the images. And see, they're all nice and left open. You can color these using a more in-depth and detailed look, but you could totally get away with loose watercolor, which is my favorite preferred way to color with watercolor. But you can do it either way. That's pretty. That one would actually be really fun. This is a pretty busy one, but I mean, with watercolors, with normal pencils, this would take forever. Watercolors, easy. And you can use watercolor pencils. Like I might do some of these with my Albrecht Dürers and test them out. It's really pretty, and then it has like a little cottage there. Ooh, this one looks fun with the strawberries in there too. See those? This one is gorgeous. And I like how she kept the print more of a light gray instead of a dark gray or black, just so you could kind of, you know, wash it out and it not pop through. That's pretty too. Little woodland creatures. That one's gonna be fun. This one too. And these are kind of pricey. They're like 20 something, but consider the paper that they come on and the amount of detail that goes into them. I mean, this is not your average coloring book paper. It's on watercolor paper, so I don't have to scan and print this on watercolor paper. And these were specifically all drawn up for watercolors. I actually can't wait to get her others. She also has other ones outside of the seasonal ones. She's got a whole bunch. This one's really pretty. And that one too. Gorgeous. All right, and then the end. And then she kind of just has to, you know, go through her notes and whatnot, but close it back up without hitting the camera. So yeah, that is Spring Cutting Garden by Kristy Rice. And like I said, there is a summer, winter, and fall, which I'm sure I will be buying very soon. Yes, it's only 25 illustrations and the book was 20-something dollars, but it's printed on great paper. I can't wait to test it out and see, but also just the whole thought and detail she puts behind it, right down to telling you colors to use and the size of brushes to paint with for each picture. So this is really friendly for beginners and those who just want to improve their watercoloring. But if you have this book, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see some pictures if you can. Share them on Instagram. And yeah, I plan to buy more of these, but I can't wait to dive in and color this one because I think this is going to be really fun, especially since I just bought a bunch of Paul Rubens thanks to Amazon Prime Day. So I'm going to have tons of fun with this. But thank you guys for hanging out and checking out this book. And until next time, take care.